Okay, let me see. So your homework was to create a story with the type of irony in it. So you were talking about Bob wants to visit his friend's house and the setting was a friend's house, and you want to use situational irony. Can you tell me what that means quickly before I read your story?
It means that so you don't expect it like the situation you don't expect it to happen, but it like the the fire the the firefighter's house is on fire or something.
Yeah, so basically it's the opposite of what's supposed to happen or what you expect. So let's read. Can you read this for me?
Okay.
Please.
Bob desperately wanted to go to his friend's house, but his mom wouldn't let him. She said that she just said for him to do his chores. Bob had a lot of Bob had a lot of chores, but he suspected that his mom didn't let him go because of the incident last week. Last week, Bob has had accidentally spilled paint all over the living room. Although he was unhappy, Bob completed his chores efficiently. Then he asked his mom again, but she said no. This is the doorbell ring, so Bob walked to the door to find his friend standing there.
Okay. Bob desperately wanted to go to his house, but his mom wouldn't let him. She just said for him to do his Bob had a lot of chores, but he expected. Okay. So, but his mom wouldn't let him go. She just said to him, Bob had a lot of chores, so he suspected his mom didn't want him to let him go because of the incident last week. Okay, we can even just say so he okay, so just what is it just said for him to do his chore, but I have a lot of chores. So he suspected that his mom didn't want to didn't want to let him go. Want didn't want him to go because of the incident last week. Last week Bob had accidentally spilled paint all over the living room. And though he was unhappy, Bob okay, can you give me more information about this incident? He accidentally spilled paint all over the living room. And what was the reaction? What happened?
His mom got really mad.
Was angered by this. His mom was very angry because was very we could say angered. Angered. Although he was unhappy, Bob completed his chores efficiently and then asked we can actually just say then asked his mom again. However, the answer was still said and then asked his mom again. However, she had still said no. However, she had still said no. Just then, or you can say, as Bob was going up the stairs to his room, was going up the stairs to go to his room, the doorbell rang. Bob walked to the door to find his friend standing there, standing on his porch. Not there, on his porch. Good job. So this is situational irony because Bob thought he wasn't going to see his friends today. His friend today, he asked his mom, nothing was happening, and then eventually he got to see his mom, his friend. So that's good job. So now let's move on to reading. We're gonna read about the Japanese American internment camp. So can you read this for me?
A date which will live in infamy. December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. So the United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces by the Empire of Japan, declared President Franklin D. Roosevelt in his address to a joint section of the Congress. The repercussions of this event in the U.S. were immediate. In cities and towns down the West Coast, prominent Japanese Americans were arrested, while friends and neighbors of Japanese Americans viewed them with distrust. Within a short time, Japanese Americans were forced out of their jobs, and and, and many experienced public abuse, even attacks. The president issued Executive Order 9066 in February 1942. He authorized the evacuation and relocation of any and all persons from military areas. Within months, all of California and much of Oregon had been declared military areas. The process of relocating thousands of Japanese Americans began.
Keep going.
The relocation process was confusing, frustrating, and frightening. Japanese Americans were required to register and received identification numbers. They had to be inoculated against communicable diseases. They were given just days to divest themselves of all what that they owned, including businesses and family homes. Bringing in only what they could carry, they were told to report to assembly centers, large facilities like racetracks and fairgrounds. These centers became temporary housing for thousands of men, women, and children. Stables and livestock stalls often served as living and sleeping quarters. There was no privacy for individuals. All of their daily needs were accommodated in public facilities. Internees waited for weeks that sometimes became months to be moved from the assembly centers to their assigned war relocation centers.
Keep reading.
Life in the camps. These hardships continued when the internees reached their internment camp, located in remote, desolate, and hospitable areas. The camps were prison-like, with barbed wire borders and guards and watchtowers. Many people, not always family members, shared small living spaces in public areas served internees' personal needs. Eventually, life in the camp settled to routines. Adults did what they could to make living quarters more accommodating. Schools were established for the educational needs of the young. Residents performed the jobs necessary to run the camps. Self-governing bodies emerged, as did opportunities for gainful employment and for adult teaching and learning these skills. Evidence as a normal community living appeared as newspapers, churches, gardening, musical groups, sports teams, and enclaves of writers and artists emerged. The barbed wires and watchtowers, however, remained in place.
Okay, keep going.
Serving their country. Despite this treatment, Japanese Americans did their best to get through the internment experience and serve their country during the time of war. More than 30,000 Japanese American men enlisted the armed forces. This all Japanese American and 442nd Regiment became the most decorated unit of its kind in U.S. history. After the war, First generation Japanese immigrants were hardest hit by the internment. Many lost everything: homes, businesses, farms, respect, status, and sense of belonging. Their children and grandchildren also experienced disruptions to their lives, but they emerged after the war with lives that, while changed, were not destroyed. These second and third generation Japanese Americans began to shoulder for responsibility and leadership in the Japanese American community.
Okay. Um, Now we have some question, but I don't know, David, when did you join?
Like in the middle of like
Did you get to relocation?
in the middle of like 7.
So right here. Okay. I'm gonna send you these for the answers so you can look at them and use them. But Lee, since you read it all, you should be okay to answer by yourself based off your memories. And then I'll send you until 7, and then 8 you were here for. I saw that you were here for. So I'll send this to David. Okay. Now, can everyone please answer these two questions? So it should be two small paragraphs, basically. 4 to 5 sentence detailed response for both each questions. Has everyone done their response? Lee,
Not yet.
Not
David?
yet.
Okay. I'll give you guys more time. How much more time do you guys need? Lee, David?
Maybe 1 to 2 to 3.
Okay, David?
Like 2.
Okay. Okay, I got Lee's response, so we're gonna take that out. Okay, Lee, can you read yours?
Sure. Shortly after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, the Japanese people were arrested, faced abuse, and attacks. Soon, the Japanese Americans were sent to relocation centers. They were forced to grab as much as possible, then leave their homes. Soon, they got sent to relocated areas.
Okay,
Too. The houses
hold
were
on, let's do
shabby.
one at a time. So I'm gonna do this one first. Shortly after the bombing, we faced abuse attacks, correct. You can take out soon here. Say the Japanese Americans were sent to Lyrakish and they were forced to grab as much as possible. Okay. We can actually add a semicolon here. They're sent to relocation centers because that could be a period, but we want to add some more. So they were forced to grab as much as possible and leave their home. And then we could just take this out. Okay, number 2. Lee, can you read that?
The houses were shabby and most of the relocated people slept in stables. There was no privacy to attend to personal needs. The space inside of the relocation homes were cramped, and many people were put in one house, but not necessarily from the same family. It was a horrible experience.
Okay. You are correct. So the houses were shabby and most of the relocated slept in stables. There was no privacy to tend to personal needs. Space was cramped. Oh no, you said homes, so you're right. Were cramped. Many people were put in one house, but not. Okay, we can just throw in the cramped, and then we can make this a period, and then we're gonna make that one an extra sentence. Many people, because you want to show emphasis by creating another one as well. We put in one, but that's not necessarily from the same family. It was a horrible experience. Okay, good job. But they were not necessarily, they were not necessarily from the same family. It was a horrible experience. Okay, good job, Lee. Yeah, I think I saw David's answer come in too. Okay, David, can you answer this? Read them for me?
The Japanese Americans got arrested while the the American friends saw them with distrust. Lots of Japanese Americans got fired forcefully. They also got beat up and attacked.
Okay, so where did you get this information?
Um,
Where did you get this information?
where it says
So you are right, they were arrested, but then while the American planes, okay, the Japanese Americans got arrested while period. So after the question was what happened after Pearl Harbor, okay? Pearl Harbor. The American, so you can actually just take this out. It's not necessary. Lots. So lots is one word. There's no need for apostrophe. Of Japanese Americans were fired forcefully, attacked, Beat up and attack are the same thing, but attacked is the preferred word. So you can say forcefully comma, attacked, and removed from their housing. From their housing to live in internment camps. That's what you should have wrote, okay? Number 2, can you read this for me?
The text describes it as them having no privacy and their daily needs were accommodated. Intern needs waited for weeks that sometimes became months to be moved.
Okay, so this text described their living situation as them. The wrong one. Living situation as situation as them having no privacy, and you can just leave it at that, and then you can make another point by saying their daily needs were accommodated in public places, okay? Public facilities. That's an important part. And it would take a long time, takes a while from the internees and the Japanese Americans, or the Japanese Americans to be moved into a different relocation center. Okay? That's what you should have wrote. All right, we're gonna move on. We're gonna learn about allegory. David, can you read this for us?
Allegory is an narration or description in which events, actions, characters, people in a book or story, settings, or objects represent specific abstractions. The expression that are not detailed or tangible or
Tangible.
tangible. Allegory generally operates on two levels as a literary device. The overt or surface narrative description is meant to have enough literary elements,
Literary.
literary elements to be a standalone work that is interesting and or entertaining by itself. However, the emphasis of allegory is typically placed on the abstract ideas represented or symbolized by the work's literary elements. In other words, the meaning behind the surface narrative has even greater value as a literary work. Through many allegories are intended to be didactic in a way of teaching and proving a moral, ethical, or religious lesson. Not all allegories set out to achieve this goal.
Good job. So Lee, can you describe what allegory is in your own way?
It's like um uh um teaching something, like telling a story like a folk tale.
Basically, yeah. So it's basically a whole story where it places something deeper. It's a deeper understanding. So there's a bunch of fables that have diff a deeper meaning, right? So if we think about the fable, the tortoise and the hare, the allegory is about patience and perseverance, right? Perseverance, sorry. It symbolizes something deeper. It's not a lesson. It can stand for a lesson, but it's essentially having a story that's a bit deeper. So some examples would be, we'll go back to that. The city mouse and the country mouse, the grasshopper and the ant, the little red hen. All these are very similar. All of these are examples of allegory. So there are four types of allegory. Can I have David? Actually, Lee, you can read this one. Lee,
Yeah.
can you read it?
Classic types of allegory. Classic allegory. Allegorical stories told in the great classic Grecian times about animals and other things to demonstrate human existence and teach the people a lesson. One of the best examples is Hatte's allegory of the cave. Biblical allegory. Biblical allegory shows stories used in the Bible to convey Christian teachings. These stories often evoke biblical themes such as conflict between evil and good. Medieval allegory. This type of allegory presents stories such as the unity of Christianity. Modern allegory. Modern allegories include stories of animals and birds. This depicts modern themes such as the Chronicles of Narnia and Animal Farm.
Okay. So classical is basically things that demonstrates human existence and teach people a lesson. Biblical is kind of found in the Bible for Christian teaching. Similar to medieval, medieval is also stories about Christianity. Modern is something about like more that's more modernized, such as the Chronicle of Narnia or Animal Farms. So it uses more animal based to inform you of the deeper meaning. Now that we learned about allegories, can you write a fable for me? What is a fable? Does anyone know what a fable is?
Like something you're supposed to teach something.
Yes, it's basic. A fable is a moral lesson or rule of a behavior part of the story. So the fable character often stands out for abstract ideas, and like it's just giving like it's basically like a children's book. So I want you to write something that's meant for children. You're going to use the same aspects that fables does and create a deeper meaning story. Does everyone understand? David Lee?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you guys 7 minutes. It's a very small story. Okay, I got 2 answers. Let's take this up. Oh, I got 1. Lee, you can finish yours soon. Are you almost done, Lee? Lee, are you almost done?
Half.
Okay. All right. So the title is Math Race. Okay. All right. Can you read that for me, David?
The math race. The dog and the cat were racing who can finish the 25 math equation. Miss Rabbit was the judge on the fastest, but also on how many they got correct. Dog finished first and cat finished next. Dog sadly lost because he rushed and didn't look through his work, while cat looked through all her work and got a 100%. Dog got a 25% and lost the competition. Miss Rabbit told Dog to not rush, and after that he learned a lesson.
Okay. So the dog and the cat were racing. We're competing, not racing. Competing. Who can finish the 25 math? Who can finish 25 math equations correctly? Correctly and fast. Correctly. Miss Rabbit was the judge on the fast. Okay, Miss Judge was judging the competition. Judging the competition. On question, the winner is the animal that finishes first and answers the most answers correctly. Dog finished first and then cat, and then shortly after cat finished as well. Although, so we have to say although, say like even though, although the dog finished first, he still lost because he rushed and didn't look over his work while the cat looked over hers. Looked over her work. Over her work and got 100%. Dog, the dog got 25% and lost the competition. Miss Rabbit told the dog not to rush after not to rush and look through his work. And after that, he learned the lesson. You could just say and looked after his work, over his work, or double check his work. And not to rush and always double check his work. Always double check his work. Okay, David?
Yeah.
Lee, are you done? Can you send it in?
Not yet.
Can you send in what you have right now? Because we're gonna take it up now. We gotta move on.
So I was doing it in the chat, and then my iPad just ran out of battery, so it just got erased.
If your laptop ran out of battery, I would have saw you leave the room and come back.
Yeah, I did.
You did?
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. All right. So how much work do you have done? How come I didn't see this? Lee, how much work do you have done? Do you have nothing done? Because it got deleted?
2 sentences.
Okay. Okay, that's okay. Can you tell me what your story was about then? Since you wrote some of it and then it got deleted, you should have a little gist of it.
So, it's about a fox who was a very sneaky trickster who was jealous of the turtle and the turtle because everybody praised him because of his shell was really good looking. So the fox tried to steal the shell, but he wasn't looking and fell into a pool of mud. And the um and the lesson is that you should you should never be jealous of other people.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. I can see how you could say never be jealous of other people, but you can also say appreciate how you look as well, right? Appreciate yourself,
Yeah.
that you don't feel jealous. So that's another way. So now we're going to talk about the theme, which is another, it's kind of a variation of allegory, but it's more of the main idea and searching and the meaning of the story or fable. So search for meaning. What does it mean? Theme. A theme is a life lesson, meaning, moral, or message about life or human nature that is communicated by literary work. So what is that basically? What's another word for theme?
Moral, meaning, message, life lesson, human
Yeah,
nature.
yes, those are all words. So essentially, it's what the story teaches the reader, which is similar to allegory. The only thing is that allegory uses fables. It's mainly found in fables. Okay, so then a theme is not a word, it is a sentence. So a theme is essentially a moral message, a life message. So money can't buy happiness, don't judge people based on the surface. All of these are themes. So can someone read this for me? Who read last? I think it was Lee that read last. David, can you read this for me? Let's do this together.
Jenny Putchover was so excited. She had a pack of Starburst in her lunch and she had been looking forward to eating them all morning. Lunch finally came and Jenny sat down to eat her Starburst when her friend Judy sat next to her. "Let me get the pink ones," asked Judy. Jenny wanted Judy to like her, so Jenny gave Judy all her pink Starburst. Before Jenny was done giving Judy the pink ones, Carrie sat on the other side of Jenny. "Let me get the red and the orange ones, Jenny." Jenny, "Remember when I gave you that star Snickers?" Jenny ate a whole Snickers in front of her, but Jenny thought Carrie was cool.
Wait, you
Uh,
missed this.
Jenny didn't remember that, although she did remember when Carrie ate a whole Snickers in front of her. But Jenny thought Carrie was cool, so she gave her the red and orange Starburst. Now that she only had yellow Starburst, Jenny wasn't so excited about eating Starburst anymore.
Okay. What do you think the moral of the story is?
Like to not get excited about like candy or sweets, or to not.
I think I know.
Lee, what do you think it is?
Um, I think it is making friends is good, but um, like, well, be mindful of your decisions.
Um, okay, yeah. So you're on the right path. David, do you want to add on to that?
Uh, like be nice, but not too nice.
Fair enough, yeah. You can be like, well, some answers are like, you can't buy friends, right? Because look, she gave her friend Yudi pink ones. Great, but then what happened? Carrie sat on the other side and said, "Let me get the red and orange. Remember when I gave you the Snickers?" But she didn't. Carrie didn't give her the Snickers, right? She just wants them. She basically all these girls are coming to her because she has this candy. You can't always buy your friends, and you have to take care of yourself. You understand?
Yes.
Okay. Identifying themes are basically not explicitly stated, which it means clearly stated. They're implied. Their themes are bigger than the story. And then going on from that, it's themes are about the big pictures. Yellow, not about the candy, but think about the big one. It's like real world advice. You can take these advice and apply it anywhere in your part, in your own life as well. Even though this is about Starburst, you could think about this and you can apply it to anything. So that means like when you're dealing with friends, have you had a friend that's not, you felt like it's not truly your friend? They're with you because either you have something they want. David, Lee?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's life lessons you can take anywhere. So when you're experiencing that, always remember you can't buy friends. You don't always have to be nice to people. You have to take care of yourself. Does everyone understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's read this. So this is going to be Lee's turn. Can you read this for me?
Derek was doing his homework on his computer last night when he saw an ad banner for a free game box 9000. He clicked on the ad, was great interest, and went to a webpage with details about the offer. It seemed simple enough. All he had to do was post some content to his social networking pages and complete a few offers. Derek didn't approve of the content that he was required to share, but he really wanted the new game box. So he shared the links with his friend and family. Then Derek began completing the offers. The offers were organized into 3 tiers. According to the website, he had to complete three offers in each tier. Then he would get his game box for free. So Derek started completing the offers of the first tier. This required him to create an account on a bunch of websites that he had no interest in joining. He completed the first tier in a couple of hours and grew excited about getting a free Gamebox 9000. The second tier required Derek to become a member at more websites. It also required him to get 3 of his friends to sign up to the program. Setting up to the websites was pretty easy, although time consuming. But getting his friends participate in the program was much harder. Most of them warned Derek that he was falling for a scam. But Derek finally found three younger classmates who agreed to take part. Derek was pumped. Unfortunately, the third tier required him to sign up for satellite television service. He also needed to change his phone service provider. Then he needed to get proof for several credit cards. Derek finally did what he should have done from the beginning and walked away from these offers.
Okay. So now I want you guys to figure out what the theme of the story is and explain your answers in 3 to 4 sentences. Try to use a little bit of proof as well, but I'll give you 7 minutes. Okay, guys, do you guys have your response? It's been a while. I'll give you 10 minutes. Lee, David?
Nearly.
David, are you
I'm
done?
like I need like one more sentence.
Okay. Okay, I got one answer, so let's take this up. David, can you read it?
I think the theme of the story is when you see a website that says stuff like an ad blocker for a free game box 9000, you should never trust it as it takes lots of steps and takes lots of time and can trick you at the end and tells you something that either costs money or something you just can't do. I think this because the text says Derek finally did what he should have done in the beginning and walked away from the offers. This shows that he had a step that he couldn't do or it took too long.
Okay. So let's look at this. Okay, so the theme of the story is when you see a website like ad blocker, do but that you should never trust it as it takes a lot of steps and takes a lot of time and it can trick you. So, okay, what's the moral of the story though? Before we get into all this, I want to hear the moral.
To like not trust ad blockers.
Not trust ad blockers. What, not, let's not say ad blockers. Let's see what else can be said. Like,
Not trust anything that
it's
pops up
free.
on.
Basically that, yeah, that, or you can say there's no such thing as free, right?
Yeah.
Everything comes with a cost essentially. So I think the theme of the story is that when you see a website that says stuff like ad blocker for a free game box 9000, you should never trust it as it takes a lot of steps and takes a lot of time and could trick you at the end and tell something. Okay, David, I'm going to read this to you because it's a whole sentence you wrote like this, okay? I think the theme of the story is when you see a website that says stuff like ad blocker for a free game box 9000, you should never trust it as it takes a lot of time and takes a lot of time takes a lot of steps, sorry, and takes a lot of time and can trick you at the end and tell you something that either costs money or something that just can't do. You just can't do. What is that an example of?
A run-on sentence?
Yes. So let's break it down together. So I think the theme of the story is when you see a website. So what did we discuss the theme of the story? What did we say it was?
Like, don't trust anything that pops up.
Don't trust anything that
And things free.
says it's free. Everything comes with a cost. So that we said that when you see when you see a website such says say an ad blocker for free game 9,000. So I'm going to put this in quotes. Comma, you should never trust it. And I'm going to make that appear. You could just say it takes a lot of steps. It takes time and steps. It takes a lots of steps and time, and can trick you at the end and tell you something that either costs money or something you just can't do. It can trick you at the end by telling you. We're going to change up the story by saying by telling. Oh no. By telling you to pay or do something you can't do. To pay do something you can't do. I think this because Derek finally did what he should have done in the beginning, walked away from those offers. This shows that he had the steps. He had a step that he couldn't do or took too long. And let's go back to the story. So he began completing offers, organized in 3 tiers, and completing the first one, and then required him to do a bunch of steps, right? So you can say the example of this could be the fact that Derek was sitting there doing says Derek created multiple accounts on different sites, and what else did he do? He did something else. And he had to finish 3 tiers of offer, complete 3 tiers before getting his offer. And complete 3 tiers of before getting his free offer. This shows that he had to take, so we can just say this. We can take this up. That it took too long. It shows that it took too long. Okay? Does that sound understandable? Great. Good. Let's talk about we. Okay, Lee, can you read this for me?
I think the theme of the story is that don't click ads. Ads are usually scams and mostly to advertise things. Some contain malware and are even more dangerous than others. It says that in the text, Derek finally did what he should have done from the beginning and walked away from these offers. Although ads seem cool and irresistible, most of them are scams.
Okay. Don't click ads, okay? Ads are mostly scams and mostly to advertise things. Okay, so we can also say the theme as don't click ads. That's fair enough. David, the only reason I chose yours is because you're talking about how it takes a long time. So I want to emphasize that don't trust anything that says it's free. So don't click ads that you don't know, or that's fine as well. Ads are usually scams and not reliable. We should say that instead. Not reliable. Some contain malware and even more dangerous than others. It says in the text, Derek did finally what he should have walked away from the beginning. Why did you choose this quote, Lee?
To say that Derek didn't want should have not clicked the ad.
Pardon? Can you repeat that for me?
To say that Derek should have not clicked the ad.
To say that Derek shouldn't have clicked that. Okay. Okay, so all right. So if I'm okay. Okay, so you can say it says in the text, even, or you can just say even Derek realizes this moral lesson when he finally did what he should have. Okay, so we're gonna say eventually Derek learned this lesson at the end when he finally, so we're gonna take out Derek, but we're gonna keep the rest of the quote. He finally did what he should have done from the beginning and walked away. Although the ads may seem cool and irresistible, most of them are scams. Good job. Lee, can you read this one for me?
Okay. Nicole was hesitant to let Liz her tea set. So that tea set was not worth much money. It had been in the family for a long time and was pretty much irreplaceable. But Liz was persistent, and since they were dear friends, Nicole relented and agreed to lend her the tea set. As Nicole feared, Liz did not handle the tea set with the same care as Nicole. Consequently, Liz broke or damaged several of the pieces. When Nicole asked for a tea set, Liz stalled. I forgot it at my cousin's house. I'll get it later this week. I'm so sorry. Liz figured that she could run to the store and replace the missing pieces. When she got around to do so, Liz was disappointed to find that no stores carried the antique tea set. So Liz purchased a brand new tea set, much more expensive than the old set. She then threw out the rest of Nicole's old tea set to hide the evidence of her irresponsibility. When Liz presented Nicole her new tea set, Nicole was extremely disappointed. Liz did not understand why. Look, Nicole, my cousin lost her tea set. I mean, he's still looking for it, but it's probably gone. But this tea set is much nicer. When Nicole did not accept the new tea set, Liz shook her head in disgust. Liz told herself, some people don't appreciate anything.
Okay, so this is your homework, okay? I want you to think of the theme and explain your answer. Okay, I'm gonna end the class now. I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.